Geez, what a morning I've had. Bloody hell, the conditions have been absolutely amazing. I must admit, the video has definitely taken a backseat today, so I'm not sure how this video is going to pan out in terms of threading it together as a sort of coherent story, but I'm sure as photographers out there, you'll probably empathise with me a little bit in that, you know, I've really just wanted to take pictures this morning. But I think for this to make sense properly, we need to go back to last night where I was down here at Crummock Water doing a little bit of a recce. This afternoon is very much a recce. The clouds, yeah, it's absolutely flat as a pancake. So there's no pressure to get any sort of shot for a portfolio or anything like that. The reason I'm down here is really just to scope out this shot and see if it works in better conditions. I've had my eye on this tree actually for at least 3 or 4 years. I don't know why I've really not got around to shooting it sooner. It does require a couple of specific, a specific set of conditions for it to work really. The one thing we have got out of the two is high water. It's absolutely poured it down the last fortnight. So this tree is sort of nicely submerged with water at the moment. All it needs now is a little bit of mist or, you know, a heavy low cloud or something behind it to give it some separation. We haven't got that today, obviously, but that's why I'm using this time to get the composition nailed down, so hopefully I can come back to it in better conditions and get the shot. The forecast tomorrow actually is looking quite promising for fog, so you may see me back here.
I love it when a plan comes together.
So the shot itself, again, I'm envisaging this in the future with a lot of mist behind it and whatnot, so you've got to kind of take what I'm saying here with a little pinch of salt. Today I'm using a 10 stop. I don't use a 10 stop very often. I'm quite selective when I use ND filters, but today with the subject submerged with the water and envisaging the final result being quite a sort of fine art, minimal, that sort of shot, I think a stopper will work quite well here. The one thing I am just keeping an eye on is the clouds above. It's very easy when you're doing these long exposures, especially when they go on for longer than a minute, is to sort of take your eye off what the clouds are doing. So what I really want here is nice even light across the water, so we don't get any bright spots that are taking your eye away from the subject, which is obviously the tree. I'm going to just take a few shots here because the ones I've been taking so far, the light's been very flat and even, which is what I'm after. But as I'm just looking at the back of Mel break, the light's going to break, so I'm going to maybe just take one with a bit of light on it as well. Just shows you when it's a bit dodgy and you can't be bothered getting out, just get out. Because amazingly, the skies have cleared, it wasn't forecast at all. And I'm now getting a lovely bit of late light hitting the top of Grassmoor. So I've just came round a little bit and altered my composition. This is one that I probably won't shoot in misty conditions, but today with the light hitting the top of the mountain, I'm just trying to sort of incorporate that. So, as I say, moved around a little bit, still got the 10 stopper on, just doing a nice bit of a long exposure just to smooth out the water. And yeah, just catching that nice golden light on the top of the mountain. Yeah, definitely worth coming out, I would say. Yeah, so not a bad little evening there, and a bit of unexpected late light as well, which was a little bit of a bonus. The forecast, as I mentioned, was fog, and when I got home later that night, the forecast was giving blanket fog across the entire county. So it was giving me that sort of fear again of going to the wrong place because there were so many options. But I thought, no, the easy option would have been to go to one of the sort of honey pots or whatever and go and shoot one of those. But I thought I'll persevere with this tree and I'll come back the next morning. So I've come back and yeah, you can see from that footage, I mean, the conditions are absolutely amazing. So what I wasn't expecting when I got here was another photographer. I mean, Crummock Water really doesn't get photographed all that much, even though it's got massive potential. But when I got here, a local photographer, a lovely lady called Jen Spears, she was already here having a look at this tree, so she'd obviously seen the potential in this shot as well. So when I arrived, I thought, well, I'm not going to do a lot of the talky bits to camera and stuff, because you know, you're very aware that you're, you know, possibly spoiling the sort of experience a little bit for someone. So I got on with shooting the images, and I thought I'd best do these sort of talky bits to camera after the fact, really. And that was fine by me, to be honest, because you know, I think I've mentioned in previous vlogs that doing this video, it does compromise your photography. And when you come out on mornings like this, when the conditions are absolutely amazing, you just want to be taking pictures all the time. So juggling the video and everything else is, you know, it can be a bit of a hindrance. So yeah, I got on with taking the shots, and the results were pretty good, I think. So yeah, so I was going round that tree, up and down, left and right, taking various compositions, portrait and landscape, and you know, the light was changing really subtly and very slowly. So when you're in that sort of position, you're never quite sure when you're going to get the peak of the condition, so you just end up keeping shooting rather. So I've probably got 200 shots of the same thing, but it's better to cover your bases than miss it anyway. So yeah, I mean, that panned out pretty much as I wanted it to, and from the recce I did the night before. And it's, you know, a great example of coming and trying out a shot and, you know, getting a feel for how it'll work in better conditions, and then going and, you know, getting that perfect, well, I'm saying perfect shot, but how you envisage that shot to be anyway. So yeah, that one really paid off. At that point, I put the drone up, and you know, when you're shooting in thick mist, you're never quite sure how high the mist is, where the sort of base of it is, and what's going on around you. So I sent the drone up to have a bit of a look about, and once it got up a bit above the base layer of the mist, you could see in the distance towards Buttermere that the light breaking through was absolutely amazing. So I shouted over to Jen, you know, you probably want to get on your bike and go around the corner, because the light's starting to break around there. So put the drone down and quickly packed up my kit and came around the corner a bit. Now I've shot this area quite a few times. I had a workshop group here last year in the winter and brought them here, and they were absolutely amazed by it. Mainly long lens stuff. There isn't an awful lot of interest along the shoreline in terms of wide angle, but that's absolutely fine, because the distant view down towards Ranadale Knots and round the corner to Buttermere, the light was absolutely fantastic. Yeah, so the light round the corner looking towards Buttermere and Ranadale Knots and onto the High Style range is absolutely amazing. I was a pig in shit, to be honest with you. I do apologise for the language, but it was that good. Telephoto lens on, just taking pictures periodically as the light and the mist changed. I did also put the 10 stop on a couple of times just to try and drag out some of that movement of the mist over the fells. They seem to look pretty good on the back of the camera. I think they'll probably be black and white, I would say. There wasn't an awful lot of colour in the scene, but you can see from some of that footage that really high dynamic range in it. So a lot of contrast. So yeah, I think probably mono conversion for those. But yeah, I've just had such a good morning. It's so nice when a weather forecast pays off as well. You know, you sometimes look at these forecasts the night before and they don't pan out at all, and when it's like this, you feel like you're owed one almost. So yeah, it's been absolutely brilliant. I do hope this video comes together okay. I think I've said this before. I feel like I've cobbled it together a touch. My first instinct is I'm a photographer, and when I get conditions like this and they're off the charts, which they certainly have been today, yeah, my instinct is to take pictures. So the videography kind of got binned a little bit. So I've done a lot of it after the fact, but hopefully it sort of comes together in a somewhat coherent manner, and it doesn't spoil the sort of viewing pleasure for you at home, if you like. But yeah, what a morning. I must just quickly draw reference to the lockdown situation that we're in at the minute. I know it's talk to death and all that sort of stuff, but for photographers, there's an awful lot of chat online about, you know, what you can and can't do and what's right and wrong and all that sort of stuff. All I would say is just use some common sense. You know, if you're having to get in your car and drive 2 hours to go and do photography, then that's probably not okay. But just keep it local and, you know, get out and take some pictures, I think. But more than anything, just use some common sense. The government don't help, I don't think, because they set almost deliberately vague guidelines, almost as if they're trying to trip people up a little bit. But yeah, just use your common sense. But I know mental health's a bit of a buzzword at the moment, but now more than ever, I think people need to look after the mental health. And if going out and taking some pictures, even locally, improves that for you, then I'm all for it. I must do a quick last plug for my calendar, because obviously with lockdown, I had a residential workshop with Neil Burnell next week, which has been torpedoed and cost me a fortune. So if anyone wants to pre-order the calendar, please do. The order will be going in next week. So yeah, I'll put a link in the description for that, and any support is obviously truly appreciated at this current time. But for now, I'm going to leave this one here. Like, subscribe, and yeah, catch me on the next one, where hopefully I'll get some more of these conditions.